To create a new lab order, click on the Lab Orders icon on the Orders Results app. The Lab Orders screen appears, populated with the patient's demographic information. Please note, fields with a blue dot next to them are required. To select the order type, click on the down arrow. Select Standard if the practice collects the specimens and sends them to the lab. Select PSC, which is Patient Service Center, if the lab collects the specimens. To select the bill type, click on the down arrow. Select Client if the lab bills the practice. Select Patient if the lab bills the patient. And select Third Party if the lab bills insurance. Please note, if the patient's insurance information is populated in SRS, the bill type will default to third party and the insurance will display next to the patient's demographics. In this example, the patient does not have insurance, so patient was selected for the bill type. To select a lab, click on the down arrow and click on the desired lab to select it. Please note, if the patient's insurance information is available, the lab may be pre-populated according to the insurance plan. The operator is the person who is creating the order. This field defaults to the SRS user. The ordering physician defaults to the provider the patient has an appointment with. Otherwise, click on the down arrow and click on the name of the ordering physician to select it. The data entry fields will be slightly different depending upon the order type. In this example, the order type is PSC. The expected date and time fields appear. If an order is standard, the collection date time fields appear. These fields default to the current date and time. However, you can change them if desired. Type in a date or click on the calendar icon. Click on a date to select it or use the arrow icon to navigate to the next month. Then click on a date in the calendar to select it. Depending on the lab selected, the client facility field could be the practice name, the ordering physician, or the practice location. This is determined by the account set up with the selected lab. To select the client facility, click on the down arrow and click on the desired option to select it. The prepaid amount is not a required field. It is used if the patient pays the practice in advance. Click in the Stat checkbox if appropriate. Please note, if Stat is selected, this does not notify the lab. Follow the procedures your practice has with the selected lab to notify them of Stat orders. The lab reference and hospital information is optional. Fill in these fields if appropriate. You can add tests to the order by using one of three methods. You can search for a test. You can select from the test groups, which are profiles of tests always ordered together, or you can select from the tests list, which is a list of preferred or frequently used tests. Please note, the test groups and the tests list are created by SRS users at the practice. The groups and tests lists are shared by all users. If the practice has configured test groups, click in the checkbox next to the desired group. Please note, if you click on the selected test group hyperlink, a dialog box appears with a list of tests included in the group. Click on the Close button or on the X button to close this dialog box. To add tests from the Preferred Tests list, click in the checkbox next to the desired tests. Or, to add tests using the search, type a test code in the search box and press the Enter key on your keyboard. The test is added. It appears below the Preferred Tests list. Or, if you do not know the test code, click on the binoculars icon. The test code search dialog box appears. When searching, use a %sign before the search term, and then click on the search button. A list of all tests that include the search term in the description appears. Click in the checkboxes for the desired tests, and then click on the Use Selected button to add the selected test to the order. Or, if you want to add the selected test to the order and add them to the Preferred Tests list, click on the Use Selected and Save to Preferences button. The test appears below the Preferred Tests list. Repeat the search until all desired tests have been added. Please note, in this example, the test that was added using search was not in the Preferred Tests list. When adding a test using search that is in the Preferred Tests list, the test appears checked in the preferred list. Next, add the diagnosis. This is required if the order is billed to the patient's insurance. Otherwise, it's optional. Frequently used diagnoses display in the ICD-10 list. Click in the checkbox to select the diagnosis from the list. Or, you can search for the diagnosis if the list does not contain the desired diagnosis. The order diagnosis is considered a suspected diagnosis, and it does not update the diagnosis app. To search for a diagnosis, type the ICD-10 code in the search box. If you do not know the complete ICD-10 diagnosis, enter a partial code and press the Enter key on your keyboard. The ICD-10 code search screen appears with a list of diagnoses matching your search criteria. Click in the checkbox to select the desired diagnosis. Click on the Use Selected button to add the selected diagnosis to the order, or if you want to add the selected diagnosis to the order and also add it to the ICD-10 list, click on the Use Selected and Save to Preferences button. The diagnosis is added. Or, if you do not know the ICD-10 code, click on the binoculars icon to search by description. The ICD-10 code search screen appears. When searching for a diagnosis, use a percentage sign before the search term and click on the search button. This returns all diagnoses that include the search term in the description. Click in the checkbox for the desired diagnosis, and click on the Use Selected button to add the selected diagnosis to the order. Or, if you want to add the selected diagnosis to the order and also add it to the ICD-10 list, click on the Use Selected and Save to Preferences button. The diagnosis is added to the order. Use of the Add to Order button is optional, as the selected tests and diagnoses are automatically added to the order. When you click on the Add to Order button, a summary of the order appears. You can click in the checkbox for a test and then click on the Remove Test button if you wish to remove the test. However, you can remove a test at any point during order entry by removing the checkmark. In the Instructions and Comments fields, type in information if desired. Please note, these fields may vary depending upon the lab facility selected. Add phone numbers if desired. Again, these fields may vary depending upon the lab selected. You can save the order as a draft or you can complete it. Click on the Save as Draft button if you are not ready to place the order. This saves the order and the order screen closes. Or, click on the Validate Order button if the order is complete. The requisition screen appears. When creating a standard order, you can print labels. Click in the Labels Required field and enter the desired number of labels. Then click on the down arrow and select the label printer. In this example, we are ordering a PSC order. We are not printing labels. If you entered instructions or report comments, they appear at the bottom of the order. There are two print buttons at the top of the order. The Print button prints labels and a copy of the order for the patient to take to the lab, and it saves the order so it can be sent later using batch transmission. This method is typically used for standard orders as it allows the practice to print a report to verify all samples are accounted for. The Print and Send button sends the order to the lab immediately and prints labels if any, and a copy of the order for the patient to take to the lab just in case there was a problem with the transmission of the order. Print and Send is typically used for PSC orders. In this example, the order is a PSC order. Click on the Print and Send button. A print dialog box displays. Select a printer to print the order and click on the Print button. This prints a copy of the order for the patient to take to the lab. If you're placing a standard order, the labels will print on the label printer you selected. Do not click on the Cancel button nor the X button to close the print dialog box. It will add the order as entered instead of ordered. Please note, if the patient has Medicare or Medicaid for insurance, an advanced beneficiary notice of non-coverage may also print out for the patient to sign if a test is not covered. You will get a separate ABN for each test that is ordered but not covered. Additionally, you must let the MD-ON screen close on its own rather than clicking on the X button. If the X button is clicked, it will add the order as entered instead of ordered. The order appears in the Orders Results app with a status of ordered. Please note there can be a delay of up to 15 minutes in displaying the ordered status. If you printed the order, the status will show as entered. Please note, you cannot edit an order once it has been sent. To make changes, you must call the lab. Draft orders are created when you click on the Save as Draft button during order entry. Draft orders do not appear in the Orders Results app because they have not been completed. To resume working with a draft order, select the desired patient chart and then click on the Lab Orders icon. The Draft Orders screen appears, indicating draft orders for the selected patient. Click in the radio button to select the order. Then click on the Edit Selected Draft Order button. The draft order displays. Finalize the order and click on the Validate Order button. Then proceed as outlined previously. When the draft order is completed, it appears in the Orders Results app with the status of ordered. Thank you for watching this SRS training. If you require